I want to
we
know what you
definitely.
think about all the answers I gave when we talked about like relationships and marriage. I know you were asking me a lot of questions and I was talking about,
Mhm.
but I'm very interested to see what you thought about my answers.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
curious.
so
Yeah.
one thing I picked up is a silver lining. It's something I track in rhetoric is what is the common theme between or what someone's communicating.
Mhm.
And I picked up a light scent of feminism. Um, and of course, if we have to be more specific, we have to look at the waves. I would say third or fourth wave feminism. I'm not talking about like the right to vote and or can she walk through public without being like I'm talking about
Yeah.
um, the removal of men as a need. And of course, we have to look at certain specifics
Mm.
as far as the house you're currently living in, the pipes that were ran, the electricity, the power grid, the oil, the engine that drives your car, who built the car, most likely.
Well,
If you
don't get
dial
me
nine one
wrong.
one,
Men bring something to the table. They
mm,
100% do. Like you say this a lot too, that there's a certain energy that a woman brings to a household. A man does the same thing.
mm-hmm,
I think I think because in the past, like in my early 20s, in most of my relationships, I was what you would consider a codependent. So
mm-hmm,
maintaining independence for me is big because I like because of that. So that's why I say to not need a man, but recognize that they do fulfill a role in a lot of women's life. So it would be great and wonderful to have a man in life, but the idea that I'm going to die or I can't live without one and I'm going to be miserable if I don't have one. I think that's what I meant, if that corrects it a little bit.
it does. So again, words have meaning. So when I hear you say I'll be miserable, of course you should be miserable without a man.
Right.
But when you say I would die without a man, a lot of the rhetoric that you're
Mm-hmm.
using is a luxury of someone who lives in the middle of a major city. You live in the middle of civilization. I just came from Alaska. I got flat tires up there. I got stuck in ditches. Thank God people cared. It was men helped me every single time. So
That's true. Yeah.
when I talk about need, it's as if I as a man say I don't need a woman. I'm like that doesn't make sense. If I as a man said I'm strong and independent, people will cringe. I'm like, what does that even mean? If the evidence for me being strong and independent was I had my own car, my own place, and a job, that's not impressive. That's normal. That's what adults do. So
Yeah.
when I hear women say it and it goes uncorrected, I'm like, you're not really saying anything. I have a car, I have a job, and I got my own place. I'm like, that's what most adults do. Anybody over the age 18 who complains about living with their parents, when they move out, they have to do those things, or
I
if
meant
they're
more of like
homeless.
like what goes on mentally because I or at least maybe I watch too much TikTok, but I feel like so many women these days just want a man to be a provider. Like I don't need someone to provide for me, at least
Mm,
monetarily in that way. So I guess what I meant was what can he bring to me that because I feel like most people look for a partner because they want validation, but I can give
mm,
myself validation. I don't need to I don't need another partner to cheer me up or make me feel better. I don't need another partner to have fun or to go on vacations or do things or take or go on dates or buy gifts. Like whenever we say, oh, like, what I get, that's what I meant in that sense. Um,
and that
because
that
if
sounds even worse than what you said before.
how is that even worse?
Because
Because
when I hear all those things you just said, I hear fear.
how so?
I hear I'm gonna put this wall up because if I let somebody over this wall, and first of all, if they're not who I want to climb the wall, I'm gonna build the wall higher. If they get through the wall and they disappoint me or they hurt me, I'm gonna build the wall higher. It's a defense mechanism.
Shouldn't right, but you shouldn't need anyone. You should want them.
Do you need your mom?